Good shit, isn't it? Good morning, everybody. It's 11:06 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is Tuesday, June the 23rd, 2020, and I'm coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto. How is everybody doing? Great to see everybody here today, and this is episode 71. Episode 71 of McRae Live, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a trailer update today in a formal way. I've mentioned what I'm about to say before, but sometimes when you do live shows, you pick a main topic, right, and you do the show. And then, of course, I like to move over to the Q&A at the end of that main topic. And inevitably, there are always Halloween questions from you lovely folks that come in. And so I have talked about this, and I have sort of mentioned this before, but there's not a video or a show dedicated to it. So in order for me to point somebody to it or for somebody to find it, they would have to watch a video that had nothing to do with it and then just stumble upon it in the Q&A section if they made it that far. So, a lot of these things sometimes get buried into the Q&A. So I thought, you know what? It's Tuesday. I did a live show yesterday, of course, which I don't normally do. Some people are still sort of, I think some people, not everybody, but I think some people think that I'm just arbitrarily sort of doing these shows kind of all over the place. So I actually do have a schedule, folks. It's every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Now, that is subject to change for a variety of reasons, right? Obviously, we had a technical issue with Sandy last Thursday. We had to move it to yesterday. I do know that next Thursday, I will not be able to do the show because I'll be with Bruce traveling to a location scout for It's Me, Billy. So, there's certain things that tend to pop up and you got to rearrange some things. But generally speaking, that's when I do the show, is Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 a.m. So mark that on your calendars. And of course, if for whatever reason I have to move it, delay it, whatever the case is, you will definitely know. Make sure you pay attention to the community section on my YouTube channel right here. So the topic today, of course, is Halloween Kills trailer update, and then I added the deciphering and probability because I wanted to sort of really kind of tackle this topic. I know there's been a lot of hot news about the Halloween Kills trailer as of late, especially with Jason Blum last week doing that interview, and then, of course, he's subsequently in outlets and Entertainment Weekly and, certain publications, he's sort of reiterated that and then some. I will say this, that there's nothing that he has said. There has been nothing that has been done or not done in regards to Halloween Kills that surprises me at all. Nothing. The fact that we don't have a poster, the fact that there was no trailer, the fact that there was nothing. Nothing surprises me. And I've said this when I've answered this in the Q&A, and I will say it here, but it's very important that my words do not get taken out of context or my words do not, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. So is that one of the reasons why it doesn't surprise me is because I am fairly well read on the business side of Hollywood. That doesn't mean that I have a degree in the business side of Hollywood, even if there was a thing. I don't even think there is a thing. I don't know everything. I don't say what I'm saying in a braggadocious way at all. That's not what I mean. But like yourself, if you're really, really, really well read on the interlockings of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, well, then you're able to predict certain things and give a higher probability of success based on the information that you know. It's an informed opinion, right? It's the same thing. And when I was in film school, one of my favorite classes was film marketing and distribution. And there was also a broadcast management class. And now, again, this is over 20 years ago. So, I mean, a lot of things have changed. Technology certainly has changed the way films are marketed. But the principle has always remained the same. And so when certain things are said by the studios or the production companies, or a producer gets out in front and says, well, I generally know, I will. And it's not that they're lying. I'm not saying that Blum is lying or that anybody's been lying, but there's that cinematic political rhetoric that I always refer to, that they say to just, it's what you say. You have to appease the audience, and you got to say this, you got to say that, you got to do this and you got to do that. And I've often said to people, if you want to know within a higher probability of really what's going on with Halloween Kills, don't look at Halloween Kills. Look at the pulse of the industry. Look at what's going on with other movies that are also being distributed by the same studio. Look at, the follow the pandemic, follow how it's affecting the industry and the business side of Hollywood. Learn about the business, learn about marketing and distribution and the differences between a production company and a studio. Studios are essentially a production company and a studio rolled into one, but a production company, which is what Blumhouse is, they are an independent production company. They're a production company. If you hear drilling, that's I got some guys doing some work in the room next door. So if you hear that's just stuff going on next door. So there's a difference, right? And there's a lot of people that don't even know that, and this stuff is readily available online. I mean, 20 years ago when I was in college, the internet was in its infancy, and this kind of stuff online was there, but not like it is today. I mean, you can learn all about distribution and marketing and the business side, especially of that side, focus groups and test screenings and research and development and all these things that I found so fascinating, that's helped me, that when certain things are said, I'm like, well, yeah, but because they have shareholders they have to answer to. There are some people that have said to me, well, why doesn't Warner Brothers just, make this and do that? Why doesn't Paramount just do this and do that? They have the money. When they make a $250 million film, that money's borrowed. It's not like there is a vault in the basement of, of Universal where there's all this cash, and they go into it. They have to pay that back, and then they make a profit, right? So there's just a lot of things that I notice, and I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not calling anybody out specifically. People who've reached out to me, certain channels that I watch. Again, nobody really in our space, because the people in our space, whether it's, the guys at Wham and Champagne and Leech and, they have a pretty good grasp on what's going on. But there are people out there that it's evident that they don't truly understand sort of how it all works, which is why, I told you that, a couple of months back when Blum, you probably remember this, when he said, it's coming soon, it's looking great. I said, I said I'd be shocked if it came soon. But soon is 2 months, soon could be 2 weeks, right? It all depends on how much you read into what he meant there when he said soon. Oh, we on here? Uh-oh. Oh, are we back? We're back. I think we're back. There was a bit of a hiccup there. There was a bit of a hiccup, but I think we are back. What's the last thing I was talking about? The last thing I was talking about? Just type one or two words, the last thing I was talking about, because there was a bit of a hiccup. That damn YouTube, I'm telling you. Just a couple of words so I can continue where I am. Dave farted. I did fart. Yes, it was a massive, massive fart. I am back. Yes, Blum saying trailer. Blum saying the trailer. Is that where I was? Okay, well, let me... Okay, there. Okay, cool. So let me go back just a little bit, and if I reiterate sort of what I'm saying, it's just because there was a bit of a hiccup there. But hey, it happens. Hey, at least we're on still. So yeah, so when Blum was saying, soon, right? Again, I mean, soon is... It's relative. Soon could be 2 months. That's soon, or it could be 2 weeks. But when he said that, we're right in the middle, and that's when the pandemic was taking off, and the theaters had just closed, and because I believe those words, I think the article where he said that, or the tweet or whatever, I think it was from the end of March. Soon, and I said, there's no way. Now there is somebody, one of my sources who does work for a Hollywood studio, not Universal, but certainly one of the majors. And I talked to him privately, and he said, no, there's no way. Everything's closed. There's no way that thing is going to come out. And I said, yeah, everything, it's closed. We don't even know what's going to happen. We don't even know what's going to happen at that time with the movies in May, let alone October. We don't, it seems safe because it's far enough away, but to release it now, we don't know, things are just ramping up and things are just... And sure enough, 2 weeks later, Ryan Turek made a tweet saying, hey guys, things are still closed right now. Don't worry, it'll eventually come. And he sort of clarified maybe, or did a little tiny bit of micro damage control in that, maybe to temper people's expectations. I know my boss said soon, but he doesn't mean tomorrow. You know what I mean? And again, it's not a magic trick. I'm not here saying that I know everything, because I don't. I'm just saying that I find the business side of Hollywood, because that's what it is. It's a business. It is a business. Very fascinating. And when you educate yourself on the interlockings of how that all works, it helps you to when things like this are said, and there's, things in articles and interviews and this, that, and the other, it really helps. At least it's helped me to kind of go, well, okay, but let's look at the industry, right? Let's look at what's going on. What's the pulse of the industry here? I know what's being said to appease fans, but what's happening? What's the likelihood here, right? It's a month or so ago when they did that Twitter watch, right? Where everybody was watching, let's come watch, Halloween. Fans were, not everybody, but there were a lot of people that were absolutely convinced that the trailer was dropping. So much so that people were trying to make me bets. I should have taken the bet, really. And saying, well, why the fuck would they do this? Why would they do this? And I told them, because it's great PR. Because there's nothing going on right now. Literally nothing. Because there is no trailer or poster. This is great PR. This is what you do. And Universal was not just doing this with Halloween. They were doing it there were several watch parties. It wasn't exclusive to the 2018 film, right? It's not they just decided to do this with this one movie, with this one, ooh, something's brewing here because nobody, no, the next day or the next week, they were doing it with somebody, with something else too on Twitter. So I said, look, there's always a chance. Always. There's always a chance. I'm not working with them. I don't know. But I said I think the probability is very low. It's just great PR because there is nothing going on. And sure enough, nothing was released. I'm sure quite a few people lost some money. So Jason Blum recently, if I move over to the other screen here, recently, there was an article that he, of course, this is Entertainment Weekly. He did a live Q&A last week There's an article here where the headline is, "You Should Have Left." Producer Jason Blum talks haunted houses and Halloween Kills. Let's go down to Halloween Kills, because we don't really care about you should have left. Yeah, you should have left that movie on the shelf, I think is probably. I haven't seen it yet, but I hear people, and I'll reserve my judgment until I can see it. And then, of course, Entertainment Weekly says here, "What can you say about Halloween Kills?" And Blum says, "Well, we're trying to get this trailer out and trying to get that movie out before the end of the year. That's our hope, dream, and plan. We'll see." Now, of course that's your hope, dream, or plan. Really, he said nothing there. Like, if you want to get real specific, he hasn't said anything. He said fuck all there. Because, well, obviously that would be the plan, because the release date was the 26th of October. I mean, if the release date was March and he said, "Listen, our plan is to get this fucking thing out by the end of the year." Whoa, shit, dude, I thought you wanted it in March. Oh, you want to make it? Well, that's news. That's like, wow, right? Because that's new information. It's all about new information. This isn't new information. I mean, our hope is to get it out before the end of the year. Well, I would imagine that would be anybody's hope, of course, because that was the initial plan. So because that's the initial plan, and he's just he's basically saying here that, well, our initial plan is still our hope. That's pretty much what he said there. And I'm not knocking Jason Blum. I'm just saying that that's what he said. So when I see this, I don't get excited about it. I don't get not excited about it. I just look at that and I go, well, yeah, that's pretty much what we expect. Do you know what I mean? And then, of course, they say, "Can you say anything else about it?" And he says, "If you like the previous one, you'll like this one. I'll say that." And he laughs. Now, that is more interesting to me than the thing he says above, because that there gives us, now again, it's all subjective, but it gives us a little bit of insight into what for those of you that, and us that have not seen, of course, the test screening of Halloween Kills. And please do not put any spoilers in the comments or in the chat room. If you're going to talk about it in a speculative way, make sure that you say that that's what you're doing when you're speculating in the chat. So my moderators, Tabitha Short, Jason Knight, Darren Sands, and Frank Riker, although I just see Tabitha here at the moment, Tabitha knows that you're not spoiling anything, or she'll delete your comment. And obviously you don't want that, right? So this is definitely, that's interesting to me, because I didn't hate Halloween 18, but I didn't particularly like it. I thought, I've often said, I think it's a very good modern day slasher movie, and I had fun from a nostalgic perspective. But in terms of a Halloween movie, again, because the bar was so low, some people say, well, it's the best Halloween movie in years. Well, yeah, but the bar was around my pinky toe. It's not like it was that high. Jesus, most of us could go out and make a better Halloween movie than the last 6 Halloween movies. Let's be honest here, right? So, I think that's not a very high bar. So is it the best Halloween film we've had in a long time? Probably, yeah. But again, the bar was very low, so it's not a very, it's not a very high thing to achieve. But I don't particularly think the 18 film was a great Halloween movie overall. Great little slasher film, but in terms of the identity and the brand of Halloween, there was a lot of little moments, but you know how it is. Just go watch my review. But okay, so this kind of tells me it's more of the same. We know that it's going to be, and then some, right? It's Halloween Kills. We know that the body count is going to be through the roof. But back to the trailer. So the same, about, I think it was last week, I had speculated that I think the cutoff point, we will know, and I said this, by the middle of August, whether or not Halloween Kills, again, between now and the middle of August. I'm not saying that, it has to happen August 15th, but I think by the middle of for sure, whether or not Kills will be released in October. And I think that everybody is looking to see what Tenet does and what Mulan does and what Unhinged does. They are looking to see what happens here, what goes on with these films, because are people going to go back? We know that, I don't know if they're doing that here in Canada with Cineplex, which is essentially our AMC. But I know AMC and Regal, of course, are demanding you wear masks. Okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. But certainly I know that might rub some people the wrong way. But masks or no masks, will people flock back to the theater in droves? I know they want to wait till there's 80% of the theaters open. Are they going to make money? Yes, they're going to make money, but what kind of money are they going to make? And is there going to be any sort of longevity of that? Will there be a spike? There's already certain states that COVID-19 is spiking. And when we get into September, which is not that far away, and the cooler weather, depending on where you are, in the world, of course, but certainly here when autumn begins to slowly seep its way into the climate, are we going to see a spike? And then are the theaters going to go? Who knows? We really don't know. And, I know, and again, I've said this before, studios like to have about a 3 to 4 month window for marketing. And again, marketing is not just trailers. Marketing is billboards and posters and interviews. You have to remember that many of these actors, again, this is not black and white. It all depends, of course. But many actors are contractually obligated to do the talk show circuit and to do the interviews with, whether it's Entertainment Weekly or The Hollywood Reporter or Jimmy Kimmel or, whatever it is. They're contractually obligated to do it, because that's part of the marketing of the movie. So when you see Harrison Ford on Kimmel talking about The Force Awakens, it's probably in his, dude, you got to do this. And he's like, oh, as long as it's I'm being paid. Okay. And that's that's part of it, and again, contracts are not black and white. There are many different variables geared towards the many different productions and levels of marketing. And it's really fascinating. But certainly that can be part of it. And if they want to shoot Halloween Ends in the fall, well, what's going to happen with that? Because they also have to take time to market this movie as well. So that means Ends. It's a whole thing. And, it's not just, marketing's not just trailers. Studios, they don't usually have this with production companies, because what Blumhouse does, Blumhouse is the facilitator, right? They are a production company. So they're the ones that make the movie. They're the ones that hire the writer, the director, the producers, the crew, the cast, they get it all, they make the movie, and then they don't have the means to distribute the film. And so they turn to somebody like a Universal, who has those means and has those departments, marketing departments and PR departments and it's, and they have studios and sound stages and, all that jazz, which is generally something Blumhouse wouldn't have. They might have something small, but depending on the scale that they're needing, of course, it always helps to have a partner in a major studio. So, I think that it's, they generally like to have that 3 to 4 month window, and we're coming up to that now. And, a lot of people are surprised. I'm surprised there's not even a poster. I'm not at all. I'm not surprised there's a poster at all, because we don't know what's going to happen with that movie. And I think, so I said, I think the deadline is the middle of August for when that when we will for sure know. One of my sources, the same guy who works for a studio, again, not Universal. He does know people over there, but he doesn't specifically work for them. He said to me privately, he said, he thinks it'll be the middle of August as well, is sort of the cutoff, because, and that's really late. Like, that's 2 months. Right. That's essentially 2 months away from the, initial intended release of that film. So, I think that's, let me just go back to my main screen here. I think that is likely. what you are going to see in that regard. Let me just see. I want to make sure I'm Oh yeah, okay. Okay, we're good there. We're good there. Just want to make sure because the audio looked a little off, but no, we're okay. We're fine. We're fine. So yeah, it's very simple. The reason why there is no trailer is because there are no movie theaters. And the reason why there is no poster is because there are no movie theaters. And the reason why there is no trailer or poster is because they really don't know whether they can release their film, whether Universal will release their film. Because let's not forget, Universal has gotten in a little bit of a kerfuffle with AMC and, Regal, and, so there's still that as well that needs to be sort of sorted out. I think they've kind of sorted it out already, but certainly, that does need to be sorted out. They don't know what's going to happen with that movie. And so that is why there isn't anything. There's no announcement because Universal has told Jason Blum, we don't know. This is our goal. We're still hoping. They're communicating probably at least, several times a week, if not every day, because it's one of his big tentpole films that are coming out this fall, if not the biggest film from Blumhouse this year. I don't know what other films Universal is releasing this year, or I guess not many considering we've been shut down, or what they were. But certainly it's Blumhouse's potentially biggest film of the year. But sorry, man, like we don't know. We don't even know how these movies are going to do. So the guinea pig films are Tenet, Mulan, Unhinged, whatever else is going to be released at that time. Certainly Tenet and Mulan. I was about to say something else. And Mulan, not Mulan, are the guinea pigs. And they're going to be paying very close attention to how well that does. Are people going back to the theater? Are they abiding by, the rules and regulations? What are theaters doing? What's the seating capacity like? Do we do this now? Or maybe is it in the best interest of our shareholders and Universal and Blumhouse? And is it in the best, not the fans, but money? They want to give themselves the best probability to make money and boatloads of it, regardless of what you think. And so they may sit there and think, well, this is going to suck. Fans are going to be unhappy, but hopefully fans will get it and be like, you know what? I understand. Like, I get it. I mean, it's not like COVID-19 hasn't affected everybody. It's affected everybody. So we all can, we get it. It's not like we're disconnected from something that's going on internally and they say, hey man, we got to wait a year. Sorry about that. We're like, what? And we really don't know what it is and what's going on. There's some drama going on we're not familiar with and they just got to delay it. And then we're like, oh, there's probably issues. It's probably shitty. They need reshoots. That's what they need. That's totally what they need. And then you'll get something like, but Dave. It's one of my new ones there. So hopefully they would count on us horror fans and Halloween fans. Although we'd be disappointed, we would understand. We'd get it. We'd say, well, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. I think sometimes we like to, because a lot of fans and a lot of people, which is understandable. I mean, if you're not invested in it or if you're just a casual fan or, whatever the case is, and you don't know how the business side works, you don't think about it. Like you're always thinking about it from the side of a fan, right? And what you want, and fans can be a little selfish and, gimme. But when you do understand that this is show business, it's all about making money. That doesn't mean that they don't care about the product they dish out. They want to give a really good product. But it's always about the bottom line. Always. Even the Zack Snyder Justice League, I mean, I'm not saying that fans, you give credit where credit is due, right? Fans, the hashtag release the Snyder Cut never went away. Fans were that thing became a pop culture phenomenon in and of itself. But let's not fool ourselves here. There's very little that's virtuous about the decision to release the Snyder Cut on HBO Max. You still have to pay for it, and they know they're going to make millions and millions of dollars because they have a streaming service that they're basically exploiting you. And I'm not saying that that if the fans didn't pressure it, and say, hey, that you would have gotten one anyway. But it's not as virtuous as they're making it seem, as like the head of Warner Brothers made it seem. Well, they were screaming and we thought, well, okay. And no, it's about money, because they know they can make millions of dollars off of this. Where was this announcement 6 months ago? Where was this? Well, okay, no, because now they're ready, right? Oh, we got HBO Max. Now they're like, hey, you know what? We should. And it's like, yeah, now let's do that. And then they're going to make money, right? And now, again, if the fans weren't up in arms about it, would there be that? No, there are two sides, but it's not like the studio was like, all right, we'll release the Snyder Cut for free. Here's the link. Download it, you bastards. I mean, that's not how it works, right? That's not what happened. And plus, there is no Snyder Cut. There was an assembly edit, right? But I thoroughly agree with other channels that say that, there was no locked, signed, sealed, and delivered Snyder Cut. And again, if you understand the business of Hollywood and the process of filmmaking, you would know that. But a lot of people thought that there was that there was some sort of Snyder Cut with all the effects done and everything ready to go, just on the shelf, just ready to go. Just pop it in, boom, there it is, it's done. It didn't exist. It literally did not exist. There's the first edit of a movie is usually called the assembly edit. And that's when you assemble everything together and you get a sense of flow and pacing, and, the effect shots are not done. And sure, that existed. But you've all watched behind the scenes shit of like Superman flying through the air on cables. Well, that's what existed, and but not a finished thing. Anyway, and they're spending like $70 million. It's like they're making a new movie. It kind of seems like, you know what I mean? Anyway, I digress. But so I just think it's important. I've talked about this in a Q&A, but of course that's buried. I haven't dedicated a specific show to it. I want people, to the best of their abilities, to, and again, I'm not right all the time. I'm not. Okay. I've made predictions that have been right, and I've made predictions that have not come to be, right? Somebody reached out to me and said, I think you're right more than you are wrong. I don't know. I haven't been keeping track. I could be wrong more than I'm right. I have no idea. I just think it's important that people educate themselves on the business side of Hollywood. And I don't mean diving into a thesis. I just mean just having at least a basic 101 of how the film industry works. Because then you're able to read certain interviews and look at certain things that people say and look at the pulse of the industry, and about marketing. So that studios generally want that 3 to 4 month window, and they, and marketing is more than just trailers and posters. It's radio and television, it's internet, it's interviews, it's newspapers. I mean, not so much anymore, but it's social media. There are specific cuts. I've done ads in voiceover specifically for social media, and the ads are cut in the shape of your phone because most people watch stuff this way. Most people watch vertical video, even though they're not supposed to. You're supposed to go like this. Most people are like, that on their phone. They cut advertisements and trailers to fit that aspect. You know what I mean? It's a whole, it's fascinating. It really is it's a whole, and these studios have marketing departments. That's all they do. And there's focus groups and test screenings and market research, and there's a whole psychology around it. And when you understand that, and then you look at Halloween Kills, you're not left going, well, what the fuck, man? You're 4 months out. Come on, where is it? Because you go, well, pandemic or no pandemic, obviously because the theaters are closed, that's kind of why. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? But even if there was no pandemic, it's helped me a lot over the years. It's helped me sort of, be able to make those predictions or guesstimates based on what I know and how things sort of work, or what I remember, and sort of kind of maybe be right, but again, I don't work for Blumhouse. It's not like I know anybody there. I do have a few sources that do reach out to me from time to time, who do work in the Hollywood studio system, but certainly nobody that is directly involved, like boots on the ground per se, at Blumhouse. But when you know how it sort of generally all works, you can go, well, again, it's about probability, right? That's why I on the thumbnail, I put deciphering and probability. It's all about probability. It's not being perfect. It's not about being right all the time. It's about my job here. I've always thought when I talk Halloween for you guys is always to give insight into things that give the best probability of success. Doesn't mean that it will be right, but it sort of puts us in the right mind frame. We're thinking on the right sort of track. Do you know what I mean? And rather than just making arbitrary sort of thoughts based on our excitement as fans, because that you don't want to do that, because then you set yourself up for sort of disappointment. I'm not disappointed at all. Now you could say, well, Dave, you're not really looking forward to Halloween Kills anyway. It's like, no, I'm always looking forward to a Halloween film. I am. I always look. It's Halloween, man. It's Halloween. It doesn't matter. I love talking Halloween. I love the Halloween universe, good, bad, whatever it is. I mean, yes, I don't like those films that I don't like, but I love, like, I would watch a behind the scenes making of Halloween 5 like that. You kidding me? I love the process and the universe and the characters and learning about these movies and so yes, I'm very much looking forward to Halloween Kills, despite the fact that I gave Halloween 18 a C+. Yes, I'm looking forward to it because I want movies to succeed. I want this to be successful. I want to really love it, right? As we all do. So it's not that I don't want it to be successful or anything like that, but I do think it's important that that's sort of I've always seen it kind of like what my job is. It's just to give you guys things to think about that you may or may not be hearing from other channels. So yeah, so what I haven't been surprised by anything. I have not been surprised by anything. No trailer, no poster. Aren't you surprised, Dave? No, because when you understand how the industry works and the fact that right now there essentially is no industry, there's not going to be Now, did Bill and Ted drop a trailer? Sure. Did they drop a poster? Sure. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. But if I'm not mistaken, 1 second here. Has Bill and Ted moved their release date yet? The release date says August 13th, 2020. That still could be there. It's Orion Pictures. Yeah, Orion Pictures, and they are, who's the distributor? Orion Pictures, distributed by United Artists, is releasing it. Orion Pictures is the production company. Actually, there are quite a few production companies in there. And that's another thing, too. I should do a video talking about production companies and how there are some production companies that don't even exist. Well, I can't say they don't even exist, but I think Darren will know what I'm talking about. There's the production companies that can take the fall and they don't hinder on, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get into it, but I should do a show on that because that's really interesting too. So to recap, everybody needs to just sort of calm down. All right. Temper your expectations. It is coming, obviously. But do not expect, I mean, I said in May that I didn't think we were going to get a trailer in May and June. Or in May, somebody asked me about June. I went, again, anything's possible, but I think it's unlikely. Now, one thing I do want to say that I've pointed to, and I just want it to be on people's radar, but I want it to be on people's radar, sort of just don't think about it too much. Don't get excited about it. Don't think about it too much. Just kind of go, okay. Put it in the back of your mind. Just put it in the back of your mind and don't worry about it, okay? But I say it because I haven't really heard anybody else talk about it. But I'm not saying it because I think there's a high probability. I'm saying it because it's an interesting date, right? We know that Comic-Con has been canceled, but we know that they're doing Comic-Con at home. And they're doing Comic-Con at home I think it's July 22nd or something like that, somewhere around there. And it's essentially a virtual Comic-Con. Now, what studios are involved, how it's all going to transpire, I don't know yet. I don't even know if that information is out there yet. I don't know if studios are going to and who is going to partake in it, what sort of things will be released at that time. I don't know, because that's still a month away. And come July 22nd, we could be right back where we were 3 months ago. In terms of COVID. So who knows what's going to happen there? But it's an interesting date. We do know that Comic-Con, generally speaking, likes to release a lot of stuff, whether it's posters or trailers or teasers or, interview, whatever, right? We do know that. Well, but what is this going to be like? It's a virtual Comic-Con. It's Comic-Con at home. That's cool. Anybody can attend for free. That's awesome. But, is Universal going to be involved? Are they going to utilize, and that might even be a last minute decision. It might even be a last minute decision to be able to want to utilize that, because we don't know yet. But it's a date that I would just go, throw it in the back of your head. Maybe you get a poster there. I don't know. You get the trailer there. I don't know. It would really depend on if they know for certain whether they're going to release that thing in October come July 22nd or so. So, but maybe there'll be something. I don't know. But that's something to think about. It's just something to go, okay, oh yeah, that virtual Comic-Con. Oh, interesting. Okay. Put that in the back of your head and go on with your day. Don't focus on it. Don't do 3,000 videos about it or articles about it or talk to your friends about it or whoever you are, because we don't know. But it's an interesting date to just put in the back of your mind as a possibility. Also know that if anybody says the trailer's coming on Sunday, studios 99% of the time do not release trailers on Sundays. I forget what the stats are, but I think it is usually if you look at the stats, I did this a while ago. I think it's usually like a Tuesday or a Thursday or Friday or something like that. It's not usually Sundays or Mondays or Saturdays at all. It's never the weekend. I just want people to temper their expectations, do your due diligence, learn a bit more about how Hollywood works, how marketing works, and it will really help you. It will. And again, I'm not saying this as somebody who has, that I know everything, because I don't. I'm learning all the time. There's lots of things people have shared with me, who work in the industry as well, that I didn't know, that I've learned, and hopefully I've been able to, share some things back, and it's really, really cool. But that is really important, because then you're just not making assumptions based on, well, I think they're gonna, and it's like, well, but you're thinking like a fan. And you need to think like a business person. You need to think like a CEO. And you need to you need to think that way. No trailer in May, no trailer in June. Keep the Comic-Con date sort of in the back of your head, somewhere around there. And I think we will know for sure whether we get a trailer. I think we will know for sure whether Halloween Kills is released in October by the middle of August. I think by the middle of August, we will know for sure whether or not that's going to get pushed. And do I think it's going to go to VOD? I don't. I think it will get pushed. I think it'll get pushed to next October. That's what I think will probably happen. Now, it's possible that they might want to push that thing into March or something. I mean, that's usually not a bad area for horror movies from Blumhouse, but I don't know. I mean, they might want to keep that Halloween vibe there. I'd be surprised if they push it to VOD. I would be. I'd be surprised. I mean, if they do, we're all going to watch it. We're all going to watch it. We know we're going to watch it. K316 says, what's VOD? It stands for video on demand, right? So like you'd be able to rent it from YouTube or, whatever the case is. I'd be surprised if they did that. I'd be surprised. I mean, again, it's always possible that Universal might do that, but I'm leaning right now. I'm leaning towards the movie being pushed. To when, I don't know. I mean, the logical, likely thing is well pushed to next October, right? And then you just push Halloween Ends to October 2022, right? No harm, no foul. Okay, you're delayed a year. That sucks, but it gives you a bit of time to, market the movie properly in the ways that you want to, and it also doesn't hinder too much on shooting Halloween Ends. I mean, that they got to think about that too. They're not just thinking it's not that they don't think about fans at all, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the fans want. This is a business decision. It always has been, always will be, and whatever they feel is going to give them the best probability of making hundreds of millions of dollars, they'll do it. And right now I see that really being this time next year, or next October, I mean. So I don't know. So yeah, so that's what I want to say on that. I don't want to talk too much longer on that. If you take anything away from this show today, just and again, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not calling anybody out in the chat room. I'm not calling anybody out on YouTube. I'm not talking about anybody specific. It's just a generalization that I've seen, from just articles I've read and people I've watched. And again, I'm not even talking about people in our space, because, the guys over at Wham and Cody Leach and Lee and Wolfman and Champagne, and our sort of that sort of core kind of that's in this space. They get it. Like, they know, they get it. I mean, they have their own ways of communicating that to you, of course, but they get it. I'm not calling out them. I'm not calling out anybody. I'm just simply saying what I've sort of get a sense of, just more from the world of fandom, I think. And I think if the world of fandom was just a little more educated on how the movie industry works, I just think it would help. And you can be a fan and know about how certain things work. It's not like I'm asking you to take a 3-year course and write a 138-page thesis on it. I'm just do a Google search. Hey, marketing in movies. How does marketing work in movies? Read a couple of articles. You'll be blown away. Be like, whoa, I didn't know that. Holy crap. And then when somebody says, well, we got this going on, this, you then can go, that's interesting. I wonder if that's that department that's taking care of that. And usually if it's that department that's taking care of that, they want that. So you know what? You know what I mean? It's how it works. It's how it works, So anyways, let's move over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying. And talking about, like I said, I'm not calling anybody out. Nobody in our space, absolutely, because they get it. And they do a great job. And I got to say this again, and I don't say this to kiss ass. I really do mean this. The people in our space, whether it's Champagne, Wham, Cody, Lee, Wolfman, whoever it is, the work they do is incredibly solid. And to have families, husbands, wives, girlfriends, whatever the case is, children, certainly, they just do a tremendous job. And I think we, it's just, I'm always amazed at the amount of content they're able to dish out and do the dad / husband / whatever thing, and work 9 to 5. I mean, that's wild to me. So just want to say we should continue to tip our hats to those guys because they're just awesome. Chris Unwin says, hey, Dave, do you think Michael Myers will talk for a second Halloween Ends? No. Mr. No Name says, what's up, Nick P? Always talking to Nick P. That's great. Tab the Short says, it'll cost the same in the end after getting popcorn and drinks and all that. Oh, you guys must be talking. It's great. You guys are talking amongst each other. Let's go over to the, super chats, because some super chats came in. It says, hey Dave, it's your boy Shade here, dropping in again. Shade, my boy Shade? I don't know a Shade. I didn't know you were my boy, but I guess you are. All right. Well, thanks for the super chat, Shade. Really appreciate it. Todd Fayer sends in two generous ones. He says, hey, Dave, I think that Halloween Kills trailer might be good, but the movie will suck and not be a Halloween type movie like Halloween 2018 was not a Halloween type movie, and Halloween 2018 is one of the worst Halloween movies. Todd Fayer then follows up with hashtag remake Halloween director. Well, that's not going to happen. Well, again, it's very subjective. I mean, if you loved Halloween 2018, then you're probably going to love Halloween Kills. And even by Jason Blum's own admission, you know, you're going to, if you like the first one, you'll probably really like this one. So that doesn't surprise me there. You know, doesn't surprise me. Let's see. Super chat from David versus Goliath, who says, where are you there, buddy? He says, thank you very much, by the way. Says, Dave, I want Myers to find an OG mask, but organically. Well, I always find this interesting because, you know, how does he find, I mean, is the mask, let's say he was to find an OG mask. Okay. Is that mask in this timeline a Michael Myers mask? Like, because presumably that mask would be so famous because people would know that that was the mask that the killer wore in 1978. Even with Halloween 2 excluded, they would know that was the mask. So would it be, is it a little too sort of self-aware at that point? You know, like, what does he do? Does he find it in a costume shop that says Michael Myers mask? You know, because again, I mean, at that time, you know, I mean, does he find it in some kid's bedroom? I don't know. I just think it'd be kind of weird. It'd be like Charles Manson finding a Manson mask, you know, and it's Charles Manson. You know, do you understand what I mean? It's like finding the mask in the first movie works because it's not a Michael Myers mask. It's just some white mask, right? Michael Myers, he hasn't done his deed yet. You know, he hasn't killed anybody. It's just a white mask. But by this point, 40 years later, the massacre, even without Halloween 2, you know, the mask, it would have been all over the news. It's something of legend. You got two podcasters, investigative journalists coming over from England to, you know, investigate. So obviously it's a local, or it's an international sign. You know, everybody knows about it. You know, that little small town in 1978, and you know, it's a whole thing. So presumably his face, the mask, it'd be something of legend, right? So are they making that mask then and selling it as Michael Myers masks? Right? So he finds an OG mask. Is there a company that is making Michael Myers masks, you know, for people to wear? It just seems like that wouldn't be the case. Do you know what I mean? It just seems like that wouldn't be the case. And I know what you mean by organically. You mean so it doesn't feel shoehorned in. It feels believable, right? You buy it. You totally buy it. Of course, that's how I always want to look at my films, right? But I just find it a little funny. You know, like the mask that he's wearing in the 2018 film and in this new one is the mask from 1978. So it feels fine to me because it's supposed to be the same mask. It's not like he broke into another hardware store and, oh, what a coincidence, they're selling this mask, you know, and what is it? Does it have it, like I said, like a tag on it that says Michael Myers mask, you know, or Haddonfield mask, you know? It just seems kind of strange. So I would rather not see that. I know a lot of people want to see him in the OG mask again, and you will presumably in the flashback see that, right? Or some variation of it. And hopefully it's good. It's all in how you light it, by the way, folks. It's all in how you light it. You can take the best looking H1 mask, and if you don't light it properly, it ain't gonna look good. It's all in the lighting. It's all in how you accent and accentuate the light and shadow on the face of the mask. So yeah. Shod. It's pronounced Shod. Okay. Dave, it's pronounced like Shod. Shod. It's your boy Shod. How you doing, Shod? Nice to see you there. Nice to see you, my man. Skywalker Ranch. Oh, Skywalker Ranch is here. Unbelievable. Says, I would rather see A Thing 2 than another Halloween film. Ooh, A Thing 2. But Do you mean like a sequel to the 2011 film? I think it was 2011. Or do you mean a sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982 with Kurt Russell? You see, I don't think you should do that. You see, The Thing is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Now, it started off slow in terms of that appreciation, because obviously it was a box office disappointment because it was going up against E.T. and people were essentially more excited for a lovable, positive, uplifting story rather than The Thing. But The Thing is a great horror movie. And the ambiguity of the ending to The Thing is so important. It's so important. And, because if you were to make a sequel to The Thing, do you divulge what happened to Kurt Russell and the other guy? Like, do you tell us what happened to them? Is Kurt Russell in the movie and the other guy is not? Because then that just kind of it's one of the reasons why I didn't really want there to be a Blade Runner sequel. I didn't want there to be because I didn't want that ambiguity, that unknown factor about whether he is or isn't, even though it's you can allude to it, to be concrete. I think it takes away something. And it's not like Blade Runner 2049 is a terrible movie or anything, but I just, there's something to be said. Like the ending of that movie, you're not supposed to know. I mean, the great thing about the ending of The Thing is that both of them could be completely fine. And you know what's crazy? It's the mass paranoia that's going to kill them. That's what it is. That's what's so cool, because both of them could be completely fine, but they're incredibly suspicious of each other because they don't know. So any little thing that you do that seems weird or unusual or getting too close, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Because your life's in danger. And you might end up murdering the other person in self-defense because basically you just don't trust them. They don't even have to turn into a creature or anything, or to have any sort of outwardly sort of symptoms of being infected at all. You just have to plant the seed of doubt in each other's minds. So when the movie just ends and you don't know whether, it's like, yeah, that's the point. And it's like, oh my God, can you imagine how terrified and paranoid you would be? It's almost better to know than to not know. So to do a sequel to The Thing, I don't know. Do people want to know? Like, chat room, do you want to know? I don't want to know. Now, from a nostalgic perspective, of course, it gets you in all the feels. You get Kurt Russell back, and maybe you make a really good movie. But do you agree or not agree with me that one of the strengths, and I understand that this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but one of the strengths of the ending to that movie is the fact that you don't know. The audience is left going, oh my God, are they, aren't they? Is he, isn't he? You don't know. And then it's kind of like, can you imagine being that character? So I say, leave it alone. Jonathan Nichols says, leave it alone. I agree. Because I think that's the strength. I mean, if you were to sort of make a sequel, bring back Kurt Russell, well, then he was okay. Oh, hang on a sec. We're back. We're back here. We're back. There was a bit of a hiccup there. Hopefully everybody was, I think we're back. Yeah, we are. We're back. Okay. We're back. Sorry about that, folks. YouTube's been a little finicky today for some strange reason. But yeah, no, I get it. Like from it'd be cool, right? Who wouldn't want to? But you know what I'm saying. Some super chats came in. Let's go over to them and get them. Billy Van, thank you, buddy. Says just got back velociraptor hunting with Michael's grandma. Fascinating. She told me why Michael killed Judith. Interesting. It's because she ate his last pack of dino-shaped chicken nuggets. That's why Michael became a killer. You know, it's amazing what you learn here on the show, folks. It's amazing. I mean, right there. If you ever want to know why Michael Myers is a killer, is because Judith ate his last pack of dino-shaped chicken nuggets. I mean, that's what it is there. Agent Priest, thank you, buddy, says, I would be amused if they make Michael Myers talk. Amused how? I would be devastated if they made Michael talk. I don't know why there's obsession to have Michael talk. He doesn't need, that's part of his identity. It'd be like, why do people want Michael to talk? No, he must not talk. He cannot talk. He must not talk. Mr. No Name sends in super chat and says, Carpenter had it all planned out in 2006 with Russell and David attached to reprise their roles, but nobody wanted to fund the film. In 2006? Really? Really? That's not that long ago, really. Well, then Carpenter needs to give his head a shake, because I certainly wouldn't want to see that. I think that would devalue, the ending of that movie. I really do. If that's true. I never heard about that. I didn't know that. Well, John, if you're watching, John, come on. You know, sometimes people need to step in and go, John, no. That's the whole point, is that you're going, oh my God. And now you're just going to explain that they were fine the whole time. No. Leave it alone, man. Leave it alone. That's what I say. I didn't know that. Wayne Gottke sends in a super chat, and Wayne says, thank you very much, buddy. He says, I really look forward to Marion Chambers' reappearance, and I think she is the only character who can go toe-to-toe with Laurie's sarcastic comments. Their interactions could be interesting. I agree with that. But here's the thing that's so fascinating, that's hard for people to, and to be fair, the filmmakers, oh, if you hear that, that's just the workers drilling. To be fair, if you know, I think even the filmmakers are probably going to, it's probably hard for them to not utilize certain personality traits from the Chambers character past Halloween 1. But if we think of Halloween 1, right, that is the only Halloween movie from the original timeline that exists in this new timeline. So our introduction to Marion Chambers at the beginning of Halloween 1978 is it. There is no Halloween 2. There is no Halloween H2O. So any sort of sarcastic remark, which she did make in a line here or there in Halloween H2O, does not exist. That character does not exist, right? The Halloween 2 version does not exist. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot cherry pick and go, well, you know what? I like that personality. I want to take that and put it in there. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. And the reason why it doesn't have to be is because those movies don't exist. All we know about Marion Chambers is she was this brunette nurse in the car saying, what do we take him in front of John? Thorazine. He'll barely be able to sit up. That's the idea. Don't you think we can refer to it as him if you say so? You know, that whole conversation there, and then the attack on the car, that's it. We never see her again. So we really have no idea what kind of person she is. Does she seem a little sarcastic in the car? Yeah, she does. There's a little bit of a quip there, right? There's a little bit of a quip there. There is that, there is a little bit of that there, but certainly you don't have to show that. You know what I mean? You don't have to go there at all, because the Marion Chambers we knew later actually doesn't exist. But do I think that they probably will have that personality in there? Yes, I do, despite the fact that you don't have to do it because, because of everything I've said. I think they will, because I think fans, I think people expect that, and I think the filmmakers actually sort of like that side of her. So, but I agree. She actually is the most interesting character that I'm looking forward to seeing returning. Her and Brackett. It's actually, listen, Tommy, Lindsay, Lonnie, cool. But Marion, even Marion over Brackett, because Marion, if she was a nurse at Smith's Grove, then there might be insight into the 40 years there and insight into Loomis that she can tell us about. I'm hoping there's some good exposition there with Marion, because she presumably was Dr. Loomis's nurse for maybe until he died, right? Or till he retired or something. As long as she doesn't divulge information that's going to demystify the mystique, demystify the character of Michael Myers, then okay. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want her to give all this information about what he was like and all that, no, not that, but just sort of maybe some context. Maybe we find out a little more information about Loomis and maybe Brackett, maybe because Annie was his only daughter, I assume Brackett was there and he went to visit him maybe and tried to get answers. Like, that shit I find interesting. You know what I mean? I find that really cool because it's personal, right? It's personal for Marion because of Dr. Loomis. It's personal for Brackett because of Annie. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily personal for Tommy. Like, I think it is just as believable to me that Tommy has been suffering from PTSD than not. I would totally be, from a purely believability standpoint, removing the fandom and the nostalgia from the equation, I would totally buy Tommy and Lindsay not being in this movie. Totally buy it. Totally buy it. I'm not saying what they went through wasn't horrific, but they were young enough that I would believe that 40 years later, they're okay. You know what I mean? They maybe there was some therapy they had to go through as a child, but they're okay. You know, they moved away, they got married, not necessarily together, but I just mean, you know, he got married, she got married, maybe they live in Oklahoma now or something, and, you know, she's a teacher, or, you know, like I would totally believe that. But with Brackett and Marion, it can be very personal. So to have Brackett and Marion in the movie, that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? It makes sense. Lonnie, you know, whatever. I mean, it just, you know, again, you don't need him in there because who cares? Tommy and Lindsay, I get it for nostalgia, for that connection, for that OG. Totally understand it. But believe it or not, I think from a story perspective, from what would be most likely in real world, I think Marion and Brackett are probably the two that makes the most sense. You know what I mean? Makes the most sense. And then maybe, but again, if you want to bring Tommy and Lindsay into it, maybe you bring them into it through, I don't know. I don't know if Tommy and Lindsay live in Haddonfield. I think it would be cool. And again, I haven't seen the test screening, but I think it would be cool if they didn't live in Haddonfield and that they were roped into it. They saw it on the news. But then again, this all happens in one night. So what news are you watching? If you live in Alabama, you're not going to be watching the Haddonfield news. It's not going to be national news. You know, I mean, you can slip it in there, but chances are everybody lives in Haddonfield still. And there's a little bit of what a coincidence. You know, I do find that a little bit of a coinkydink, but nonetheless, you know, it's all in the execution, man. Gary Rangel says, in the behind the scenes footage of Kills that was released in Kills, did you notice Michael's hand in the window? Same way in 1978. I think Marion will face the same fate. Oh, yes. Oh, I did a video on it. I talked all about that. There are videos on my channel from last fall where I break that down. I think one was a live stream and one wasn't, where I go through and I bring it up on the screen and I go through all the photos and I give you my thoughts on it. So if you want to watch those, they're about, 6 or 7 months old now, but go and watch, go to my channel and scroll down to where the Halloween Kills playlist is, and then click on the playlist and scroll down, and from October, November, somewhere in there, you'll see a few of the shows that I did on that. Oh yeah, no, I couldn't. Oh yeah, they are mirroring that 100%. David versus Goliath sends a super chat, says, going too far to say Mikey was jelly of 1 Minute Man. Going too far to say Mikey was jelly of 1 Minute Man? David, I don't understand. Is that a question, a statement? It's going too far to say that Mikey was jelly of 1 Minute Man? Oh, jealous of 1 minute. Oh, I get. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay, I see. You're you're slanging it up, and I'm just not. I'm not privy to the hip slang. You believe it's going too far to say that Michael was jealous of Judith's boyfriend because of how quickly he got done the deed. Listen, I don't think that, and I know that the novel tends to, and again, do not use the novelization of Halloween 1978. Not that there aren't some interesting things in there. There are, but that novel was created after the movie came out. Everything that was written in that book was written to translate the movie to book better, to give context, because the movie in and of itself translated into novel form would be quite boring. You needed to have backstory. You needed to have context. You needed to have something that would be a little more interesting and make it a more interesting read. Let's not forget, in the novel, Michael Myers has a mask with a purple eyeshadow and red lipstick. For those of you that don't know that is a fact. That's true. Okay, so I mean, if I don't convince you, please let that alone. It's a book that was written after the fact. The original intent of the story and the character is everything you see in the theatrically released movie from 1978. You're not we don't know. We don't know why. Okay, the original intent. Now you can again look at Halloween 2, right? There's two lenses you have to look at the original Halloween from. You have to look at it, the original intent, which means when that story was, when I say original intent, I'm talking about when we sit down to write this script. We have no idea this is going to become the most profitable independent horror movie ever created. We don't know that. We're just making a little low-budget horror movie that Irwin Yablans wanted to make. Okay, great. I'm hired to do this. Great, let's write it. Okay, here's what I want to do. Okay, great, cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. Theater of the mind, right? Theater of the mind was a big thing. When I talked to Irwin and when I spoke to his son, both of them told me that was a big thing. That's what, Irwin wanted to do. He said, and Mickey said that was big for my dad. He wanted a Hitchcockian theater of the mind. That was big. So it was almost like, I don't care what you do, but make sure it's not, it's that theater of the mind. It's that old school. It was, then it was, kind of on its way out, right? So that's what they did. And they wrote this character and wrote all this, and there was no desire to do a sequel. Carpenter said, I'm not writing this to do a sequel. He, again, and I've said he's not gone at the end of the movie to set up a sequel. He's gone to solidify the message of the movie. It was the boogeyman. It was the boogeyman. As a matter of fact, it was, right? All that. I mean, for me, say that 1,000 times. So you can look at, you have to look at the original Halloween through that lens, right? That was the original intent. So everything you watch in that movie, when they were making that was the mind frame. There was no, well, he's actually, the Druids, and paganism. No, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. That's in the novel. That's in the novel, which was written after the fact. So there's that lens. It's a standalone film on its own. But if you want to think about Halloween 2 and the sequels, then you have to look at it through a different lens, right? And then, of course, much of what was written in that novel is in Halloween 2, in terms of backstory, in terms of, paganism, Samhain, things like that. But yeah, the whole idea of Michael being somehow sexually attracted to Judith, or some sort of sexual desire, there might be. I mean, there might be, but there's no evidence of it. Well, in the book, it doesn't matter what's written in the book. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like two separate things. It's two separate things. Because it's not like Carpenter, like if the movie was an adaptation of the book, well, then that's a different argument, right? But it's like the book is the adaptation of the movie, and when you read a book and then you watch a movie and things are changed in a movie to make it a better cinematic experience for you. And there are a lot of times that you'll go, well, that wasn't in the book, right? Well, what would you think? Well, the original intention, right? That is the book. That's the real story, right? You got to think of it this way in terms of the novel for Halloween as well. You can enjoy the novel on its own merits, and in that movie, Michael has a mask with purple eyeshadow and red lipstick. Great. But does he really? No, he doesn't. That's not, no, of course not, right? So I don't side with that idea that he was jealous of her boyfriend. I don't think that at all. I think that if anything, there was, at 6 years old, he might have been curious, but I don't necessarily think it was an incestual curiosity. I just think that maybe 6 years old, boobs, girls, naked, it just, he's just curious, right? And he sees his sister naked. So it's like, oh, wow. It's like my sister's naked, but it's not necessarily incestual in nature, if that component was there. But again, why he murdered her, I don't know. And we're not supposed to know why. It's one of the reasons why I believe Judith needs to remain dead. But I'm going to hold off on my thoughts on that for a future show. Super chat, a couple more super chats came in. Agent Priest, thank you, buddy. Says, this is for you, Dave, my bro. You are the greatest, always well said on everything. And on Halloween, love it, man, a lot. Well, thank you, Agent. I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of incredibly talented horror dudes and dudettes in this space. So I appreciate you saying that. Frank Riker sends a super chat and says, it's my daily update. It's my daily update. Says, Dave, I was playing pocket pool with Blum, and he was playing pocket pool with Blum, folks. And he told me why Michael is crazy. Apparently, Michael and Lori were married, then divorced, and Lori hit him up 40 years for back alimony and child support. That's it. That's what it is. That should totally be in the movie. I would love to see that actually in the movie. I think that would be funny. That would be very, very funny. It's all about the alimony, folks. All about the alimony. Mike Johnson says, I've always liked the part 5 Michael tears scene. I think it represents that he wishes he could be normal and not have endless pain and rage inside of him and knows he has to kill to satisfy it. Mike, that is exactly what it means. That is exactly what that tear means. The reason why I don't like it is because it makes no logical sense for the rest, the whole idea that we're seeing an eyeball when he had his eyes shot out. Now, you could say, well, Dave, in Halloween 4, how is he able to walk around? I don't know. But maybe his eyes are fucked up. We have no idea. Like, we don't know what his eyes look like in Halloween 4, right? We don't see his eyes in Halloween 4. Is it strange that maybe he's walking around and he's pretty stable? Okay. But we don't know. I mean, if you were to remove the Halloween 4 mask, it might be like, oh, he's all burned and charred, and maybe his eyes are kind of weird looking, but they're open just enough. Like maybe he's able to he's got like 15% vision or something. I don't know. We don't know. But in Halloween 5, his eyeball literally looks like mine and yours. His skin looks like mine and yours. There's no damage, nothing. And this is a movie that is supposed to be in continuity with Halloween 2 from 1981. And he's tearing up. I just don't buy it. I understand the creative choice of why they had a tear. It's not like I'm like, why the fuck is he crying? No, I totally get it, right? Like we all get it, right? And you like it because, yeah, you're like, oh, I like that. I like that. Yeah, it'd be cool if maybe he wasn't burned alive and shot in the eyes in Halloween 2. Maybe that would have more weight for some people. But for me, I'm just like, this makes no sense. And it also is not indicative of his character. It's not indicative of the no emotion, right? He's supposed to be void of emotion. And there's nothing that is done in the narrative of Halloween 4 or 5 to give us insight into maybe that's not true. Maybe there is something else there. So when we see it, it's like, what's this? Why is this happening? That doesn't make any sense. It's just, it comes off to me as incredibly comical and funny because this doesn't make any sense. What you like about it is absolutely what they were going for, right? It's there's a tear. It's that pain that's deep inside of him, but it makes no sense, which is why it should never have been done. for the character, it makes no sense because it was never established that he could have emotion. It was very much established that he was void of emotion. There's no rhyme, reason, no conscience, no understanding, even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, good or evil, right or wrong. There's nothing there. Now, again, when I say there's no emotion, I'm not saying he doesn't feel pain or feel rage or, whatever, but there's no, it's not, Michael crying is strange because that tells you that he is self-aware of what he's doing is wrong, but he doesn't, you know what I mean? And I don't believe that's necessarily there at all. But I'm glad you like it. I'm glad it works for you though, man. That's important. That's important. Michael is pure evil, a predator. I think he was always mute and creepy. Judith said he must be creeping around when her boyfriend asked where Michael is. Did she say creeping? I thought she just said, Michael's around someplace. I don't think she says Michael's creeping around someplace. I think she just says Michael's around someplace. I could be wrong. Maybe that's what Scout Compton says in Rob Zombie's remake, maybe. I don't know. I don't think she says, Michael's creeping around someplace. I don't think she says that. I think it's just Michael's around someplace, I think. Chris Baber sends in a super chat. Thank you very much, Chris, buddy. Appreciate it. Does Michael get a smartphone and kills? Smartphone to make phone calls? I hope not, man. I really, really hope not. I hope he doesn't do that. I hope he doesn't do that. Michael King says, I like Dave's long answers. Well, thanks. Hey, listen, if there's one thing I definitely know about myself, it's that I can be verbose. I can be a little extraneous. I definitely can be long-winded, but I only am because I'm passionate about the material and I'm passionate about giving you guys a thorough answer. And I come from a long list of family members that never shut up. So there you go. Me and Robert Englund, right? Robert Englund is somebody that can talk too. He can talk too. David versus Goliath says, sorry, D, I was referring to the movie, not the book. Oh, yeah. For sure. But I knew that, but people like to make their own assumption. I agree with you. I don't think he was jealous of the boyfriend at all. I don't think that. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's why he was doing it. I think he was, if there was anything sexual about that opening, I think it was just a 6-year-old boy that is curious that he's seeing this, right? Like, what is this? Kissing, making out, boobs, just kind of like, and it happens to be his sister. But I don't think it was, I don't see any evidence of an incestual weird thing there. Doesn't mean, again, you have to talk to John Carpenter. John, when you were writing this, were you thinking that? I don't necessarily believe he was, but who knows? Lone Wolf Josh P says, Dave, something or someone just walked by your door in the hallway. Very creepy. Oh, it's Michael Myers. It's Michael Myers. Yes, no, I have some workers here who are doing some work in the room next door to me. So if you see somebody walking by the doorway, that is why. That is why. There are some workers here doing that. And I am, so if you hear any like drilling or anything like that, that is what happens. Frank Riker is angry. He says, missed a super chat from Dan-tastic. Did I miss it? You're right. I did, Frank. Frank's always on the ball. Frank the Tank, my man. Frank is on the ball. I wonder why. Did it show up here? Let me see if it showed up. It did. It just got muddled in. It did. Always count on you, Frank. Frank the Tank. Frank says, Dan-tastic. Thank you, Dad. Dan-tastic, my man. Says, hey, Dave, long time no chat. Just saw you were on. What did I miss? You'd have to go back and watch the beginning of the stream, of course. But just to recap for those that are tuning in late, again, the gist of my talk for the first 45 minutes or so of the show was just to express how important I think it is for people to learn and understand the business side of Hollywood, specifically marketing, distribution, the studio system, learn the differences between a production company and a studio and what they do, and the similarities between both as well and what they do. And I just think that it's so important that you understand that, because it helps you to make better informed opinions on, where the Halloween Kills trailer is, where, the poster is, because these things, as I've said 1,000 times, are never arbitrarily done. And there's a lot of channels that get it and know it, like the channels in our space, but there's a lot of channels that don't. There's a lot of fans that don't. I see a lot of fans going crazy, like losing their minds. And I think if they were just a little, just even a hair educated on that, and hopefully, I'm not trying to sound pretentious or condescending when I say this. I just think it's important for everybody, for myself, for you, for everybody. And working in the industry, I have a leg up maybe over some. I have a natural sort of invested interest. I have a natural curiosity, of course. If you're not working in the industry, or you don't have an invested interest, or, whatever, not an invested interest in terms of financially, I mean, but an invested interest in terms of this channel, and in terms of just my own peace of mind and my own curiosity. That's what I mean. Emotionally invested is what I'm trying to say. But it's not like I have shares in, Blumhouse or something like that. I don't even know if they're publicly traded, but it's so important. And because it helps you, like I said, if you want to know when the Kills trailer is going to be released, look away from Halloween and start looking at the industry. Start learning about the business side and the pulse of the industry and just, all that kind of jazz. That's so important. It's how you're able to, again, it's like, when people were losing their minds, the Twitter watch party, there's going to be a trailer. And I was like, there ain't going to be a trailer. Oh, fuck, shut up, McRae, you know what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, there isn't going to be a trailer. And there wasn't. And it's not because I have a magic ball. It's because I knew really what this was, so that's essentially in a nutshell and I dive into it, and me, I'm going like this, but there ain't going to be a trailer this month. There ain't going to be a poster this month. Keep the Comic-Con date in the back of your head, the virtual Comic-Con date. Whether Universal is doing something there, I don't know, but keep that in mind. It may or may not be something where they... Reconnection successful. We're back. Sorry, there was a bit of a hiccup there again. YouTube's been finicky with me today. YouTube has been finicky with me today, but we are back. We haven't lost any. We've lost connection a couple times, but hopefully it doesn't do anything crazy. I'm going to wrap up the show here in a second anyway. But yeah, so I think we will know for sure. We could know before then as well, but I think the deadline to know whether Kills is going to be released in October theatrically will be the middle of August. That's what I think. I think that's the deadline there. I do. We may know before, but I think that's the deadline. So if we get to like August 10th and we haven't heard anything, you bet something's coming down the pipe like really soon. You know what I mean? That's what I think. But go back and watch the show. Go back and watch the show, because I do, talk about a lot of stuff. And, I don't know. I just like people to be informed, I guess. I just want people to be informed. Of course, I know not everybody finds what I find interesting too, right? I know it can be, I get it. I totally get it. Let's see here. A couple of super chats. Wayne Gotke sends in one, my man Wayne Gotke, and says, I get a strange feeling that Michael, oh, wait, did we cut off again? No, I think we're there. Says we're live. Are we live? Yep, says we're live. We are on. I hope we're on, right? Are we on? Are we on? It says I'm live. You're good? You're good? Just went offline for me. I'm good? Okay. I'm going to wrap this thing up soon, because I don't want all this to... It's starting... I think it's getting worse. Fucking YouTube. Okay. Wayne Gotke, yes, you said, Wayne, where are you there? You say, I get a strange feeling that Michael won't be the only killer in Halloween Kills. Tommy's PTSD will be prevalent, but Lindsay's might be far more methodically concealed. Fascinating, Wayne. I don't think they're going to do that because of brand identity. I really don't. I think that might throw kind of people for a loop. But I'll tell you, if they do that, that's a hell of a twist that I think might rub some people the wrong way. But I like the way you're thinking, Wade. I like that you think outside the box, you know, and you got all these ideas. I think that's pretty cool. I like that, man. I do. I don't think they're going to do that. Douglas Taylor says, I hope they bring back the jack-o'-lantern for the opening credits. It adds great mood for the beginning. I hope so too. It would be very curious. I hope they do another jack-o'-lantern opening again. I agree. But sort of a tip to Halloween 2 from 1981. Don't do the exact same thing, but clearly you know that it's an homage to that. It's a tribute to that. I think would be really cool. But who knows? I don't know. We'll see what they do, man. We'll see what they do. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me on episode 71 of McRae Live. I want to skedaddle before the YouTube starts knocking me off, and maybe it goes completely and I'm knocked off and I don't get a chance to say goodbye to you and I got to do another thing to say goodbye. I want to kind of avoid that for today. Maybe it's just being finicky today. So anyways, I'm going to skedaddle. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate all the super chats, the non-super chats as well, of course. Thanks to my moderators, Jason Knight, Darren Sands, Frank Riker, and Tabitha Short. You guys are amazing. Thank you for doing what you do. And again, folks, if you take anything away from this video, let this be it. Just do your due diligence and learn about the business side of Hollywood when it comes to marketing, distribution, and studios. You will thank me for it. You will be better educated for it. I don't mean that in a pretentious way. I'm not here claiming I know everything. I'm not a studio executive, okay? I'm just saying that it will really help you it'll help you to figure out what's going on, you know, and to decipher what people mean when they say certain things. You know, you kind of know, you know, you're like, well, you know, because this usually happens when, you know, just do that. I'm telling you, man, you'll be better for it. You'll be able to make better predictions because of it. 100%. You won't always be right, but it's about probability, right? It's about probability. Anyway, so yeah, that is going to do it for me. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. I will be back. Again, there's always a chance I'll be back with a standalone video between now and Thursday, but I definitely will be back Thursday morning, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 72 of McRae Live. So that'll do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.